Microplastics, commonly referred to as microbeads, are forms of plastic that run roughly between the sizes of 5 micrometers to 1 millimeter. These forms of plastic are found in many of the cosmetics, body wash, toothpaste, skincare, and household cleaning products that we use on a daily basis. For a reference, one tube of exfoliating face wash can contain more than 350,000 microbeads. Because of the very small size of microbeads, normal wastewater treatment facilities are unable to filter out these beads, and a majority of them end up in the marine environment. The presence of these microbeads in the marine environment is detrimental to the organisms that are present there. Not only are these microplastics affecting aquatic life, but they are also affecting other life forms that rely on the marine environment as a food source. Microbeads cause many problems to the marine environment. For one, they look very similar to fish eggs, so many organisms see them as a food source and quickly ingest them. Many of these microbeads also end up on the bottom of the ocean. According to a study done between 2001 and 2012, the ocean floor contains about 1,000 times more plastic pollution than the surface of the water. This is especially harmful to bottom feeders and filter feeders, such as mussels, since they come in direct contact with these tiny particles. Lastly, species of plankton have been found to ingest and retain plastic particles. This can be especially harmful to humans who ingest fish who rely on plankton as a food source. So what makes microbeads so bad? Many of you have probably heard already that plastic in the ocean is dangerous for the marine life, but did you know that microbeads contribute to the transportation of toxins in our food supply? In particular, an extremely dangerous toxin, mercury. Mercury is found in many fish species, and high levels of mercury in humans can actually be toxic. Mercury is given off through several different methods of pollution, for example, coal burning. When mercury is given off after being burned, it settles onto the surface of different water sources that can eventually end up in the ocean. It accumulates in these waters where bacteria convert it to a form that is highly toxic to humans, known as methylmercury. Afterwards, it is absorbed through the gills of fish, where it tightly binds to proteins present in the fish. Larger fish eat smaller fish, so as you move up the food chain, the concentration of mercury in fish increases. The proteins present in fish bind tightly to over 90% of the methylmercury consumed. So much so that not even the most vigorous cooking methods can remove it. Microbeads act as sponges for toxins such as methylmercury that are found in the marine environment. They absorb these toxins and are then ingested by fish, so the levels of methylmercury increase greatly. This is problematic for humans, since the majority of mercury poisoning occurs from ingestion of methylmercury from fish. Methylmercury is toxic to humans in that it disrupts the normal processes of the sodium-potassium pump. In a normal human cell, there are multiple sodium-potassium pumps that work to maintain desired levels of sodium and potassium on respective sides of the cell membrane. Normal systems have a higher level of sodium outside of the cell compared to inside, and a higher level of potassium inside the cell compared to outside. The sodium-potassium pump works to maintain this gradient. They do this by first allowing 3 sodium ions to bind to the protein. Then ATP, which is an energy-carrying molecule, comes and puts a phosphate group on the protein. This causes the protein to change shape so that it opens outside of the cell. Once this occurs, the sodium ions detach and move out, giving room for 2 potassium ions to come in and bind to the protein. The phosphate group that was bound to the pump then leaves, causing the protein to return to its original shape, therefore releasing the potassium ions into the cell. This helps to maintain what is known as membrane potential. Membrane potential is important and necessary for many biological functions, in particular, the function of the nervous system. Maintaining membrane potential allows cell signals to be transported, which is essential for the functioning of the nervous system. Methylmercury inhibits the function of the sodium-potassium pump. When the sodium-potassium pump can no longer function, membrane potential is destroyed so cells can no longer communicate, essentially shutting down the function of the nervous system. This can cause major repercussions to the human body, including, but not limited to, damage to the brain, kidney, and lungs, implications in pregnancy, and even death. Mercury poisoning is already a threat to humans, and the threat is only increasing with the presence of microbeads in the environment. So what can you do? Well, on December 28, 2015, President Obama signed the Microbead Free Waters Act that prohibits companies from selling products that contain microbeads. The manufacturing of products such as shampoo, body wash, and toothpaste that contain microbeads must be halted by July 1st of 2017. Additionally, these products will not be able to be sold after July 1st of 2018. So microbeads will soon never again pollute our water. However, it has been suggested that other plastics carry the same implications as microbeads and are poisoning our environment and consequently poisoning us. So we all need to do our part to reduce plastic waste in the environment.